Hey, what's going on? Dr. Taylor, Aspire Chiropractic. Today I want to talk to you about something that, man, I'll never know the joy of this. I want to talk about pregnancy, okay? We've got, oddly enough, it seems like whenever expecting moms come in here, they always come in groups. Not intentionally, but if we get one, then we're going to get 5, okay? So, if you've ever had a child or you plan on having kids, number one, you should absolutely go to a chiropractor throughout the entirety of your pregnancy. Obviously coming from a biased standpoint, but I'll explain to you why. And for those women out there that have been to a chiropractor during pregnancy, they will be able to attest to this. So let's talk about this. Biggest reason, 3 big reasons that women come to a chiropractor during pregnancy. Number 1, low back pain. Number 2, sciatica. Number 3, having a breech baby. So low back pain, sciatica, duh, those make sense, right? So if we're looking at, got your mid back, your low back, your tailbone there, right? So what happens, all of a sudden, we got a baby in here. That's a great picture of a baby, right? Going like that. What's it doing? Changes your entire center of gravity, right? Moves the whole thing forward. And then this curve in your low back here, again, we got these vertebrae going in there like that. That thing gets pulled way forward. So if you go something kind of like that, and then you end up to something like that, right? So all it does is it puts a tremendous amount of stress and pressure on the nerves of the low back, the discs and the muscles in the low back, simply because of the change in posture. So if we're looking at our lumbar vertebra here, we're looking right between a couple of them. Boom, boom, like that. Like so. Got our spinal cord going down here, and every nerve in your body comes off your spine, goes like that. But if all of a sudden, if we change the orientation of those vertebrae to something like that, boom, boom, putting pressure right on that nerve. And the nerves in the low back, where do they go? Out into the hips and down the leg. So, low back pain, sciatica, because your center of gravity has moved forward. But that makes sense. If I've got low back pain without a baby, I can have low back pain with a baby. So obviously chiropractic can still fix that. But how does the whole breech thing come into it? So we're going to go back to this. Now if we're looking at you from the front, okay? So we've got our spine here. We've got our baby sitting like so. Wrong position, baby. Like that, right? We've got our pelvis here, tailbone, pelvis like so, your bladder's in there, baby's sitting right on top of it. But this thing is sitting inside, this kid is sitting inside the uterus, right? And what does it want? It wants the same thing we all want, regardless of stage of life. It just wants to be comfortable. So if you come in here and you've got a pelvis that's all out of whack, something like that, putting a curve in your low back, that's going to put a huge tweak, sorry to get so technical with you, a huge tweak on the uterus, right? And how that thing is sitting in there because it's connected to your pelvis, right? This is just basically a balloon that's expanding with a child inside that takes up all the space here. I know this is brand new information, right? But if this, this area where that uterus sits is, let's just say, unsymmetrical, right? Then that thing being the uterus, is going to expand unsymmetrically. So the baby was designed, and it knows full well it should be sitting like this. But it's got to be in there for 9 months. And it gets really uncomfortable because this gets to be a really cramped space. Getting the baby in there is super easy. Getting the baby out of there is really hard. So if we got a twist in our hips and pelvis, and all of a sudden this becomes uncomfortable for the baby, then it's going to start to twist and rotate. In this situation, look at it. I mean, you got a big old torque in your hips and pelvis. What's that do? That turns this thing into a nice little recliner. But again, same time, that's going to be really hard to get the baby out in that position. So what do we got to do? We've got to balance the hips and pelvis. Because what that's going to do is going to balance the way the uterus sits. If anyone watching this has been pregnant, odds are you probably experienced something called round ligament pain. What is the round ligament? It's a ligament that attaches from your uterus out into the front of your pelvis there. But if all of a sudden we got this torque in our hips and that round ligament ends up being asymmetrical, something like that, That's going to change the shape of the uterus that this baby's expanding into. So, come to a chiropractor. Hey, got an ultrasound. Doctor says my baby's breached in some way, shape, or form. What do? We assess the low back, we assess the hips, we assess the pelvis, because if we can square this thing up, then all of a sudden the more comfortable position for the baby ends up being head down, the way it was designed. But if this is torqued, tweaked, twisted, something like that, this is no longer a comfortable position. If you got a big old twist in your pelvis here like that, right? And all of a sudden baby is sitting there banging their head against the inside of your hips, you're going to move, right? So that's why this thing kind of tweaks over like that. All we got to do is we got to change the environment to suit the baby. And the environment is basically the structure of the lower half of your body. We get the pelvis shifted, so all of a sudden we're dealing with more level hips. That's going to equalize the stress and tension on the round ligament. That's going to equalize the stress and tension on your hamstrings and your quads through there. That's going to help all the issues you got going on, most of the issues you got going on with your low back. I shouldn't say all because you're still with child, right? We still got that change in our center of gravity. But then all of a sudden we go from potential of having a C-section, potential of being literally cut in half, to the potential to have a natural childbirth. All because we change the orientation of your hips, we change the environment for baby, making it something more comfortable and more suitable for a proper position. So, pregnancy is going to come with low back pain because you put a baby in there. It's going to come potentially with sciatica because of the stress on the low back and the nerves. It does not have to come with a breech baby. Now, the odds of fixing this are better the sooner you get after it, right? So the moment you find out that we might be breached, get your hips, your pelvis, your low back assessed by a chiropractor. Better yet, get adjusted before you even get pregnant. So, if this is something that resonates with you, if this is something that you've experienced, hell, I'd love for you to share your story on the comments of the video here. But if this is anything that you want looked at, or just, man, you just need a second opinion. Hey, doc, I don't want to be cut in half. Cool. We might be able to help you out with that. Just give us a call, walk right through the door. Depending on how far along, you might waddle through the door. It's okay. But we're ready to help you when you're ready to be your best. Naturally. Just like that.